How are we all? Just doing a quick update here, just a quick introduction to a tool video. So currently doing a rear quarter chop on a Hilux. As you can see, she's already been chopped off, cleaned up and ready to go. So one thing that we have done is a couple of these little blanking plates. If I can find the left, I should have probably done a bit of a video on doing these blanking plates, but I'll weld in there. It's not super flush at the moment because I'm just juggling it, but I'll weld in there, stop all crap from getting up in there when this thing goes off road. But what I'm more interested in showing off today is, so I'm rebracing this piece here so she isn't just bouncing around. And I'm making some little brackets which I'll spot weld in there between those two and hold that back out and add a bit of stiffness into this. I'm going to put a dimple in it. These little dimple dies. So one thing when you're using these little dimple dies, if you are doing them, when you're spacing them out, make sure that you don't have them too close for your actual die. So you may not have all of this as the dimple, it's only going to actually go to there, not all of that, but these are pretty heavy duty. So when you're doing them, if you're thinking that just that there is the affected area, it's not. This here is. So if you put them too close, the next one you do next to it, you're going to squash with that. So quick way to set them up is, I know I want one there and I want one there, then I'm going to shape this around it and do a whole lot of other crap. So what you can do as well, on the same kit I've got here, got these little hole punches which pre-punches the hole for the dimple to go in, so these come partnered up. The only annoying thing is I've got to drill a hole to use this anyway, so I usually don't use these littler ones because I'll just drill the hole with that. So just get this where we want it to be. $25 on that side. That's where we want it. Now the next little nifty tool, so put that exactly where I want it to be, is, if you haven't seen them before, transfer punches. So I could do with a sharpen by the looks of it, but find the hole size. A nice snug fit, and then bang, that leaves me a hole right there. So these are good when you're trying to do line up for bracketry and stuff like that. You don't have to try and sit there and float a punch down the middle of a hole or something. You get a nice snug fit out of this, bang it. Trying to get that in, is it nice and close to focus, damn it. Well, as you could probably see anyway, there is a point on the top of that, so they all have a point in them at center. This one is a metric set, comes in 0.5 intervals, starting at 1mm up to 13, so basically the same size as your drill bits that you're going to get. I've got an Imperial set too, just because I deal with some American crap here and there, so the holes are slightly out. I don't want to go too crazy. So I'll drill this hole, and then I'll pull out the pump, and I'll show you what I mean with punching this die in, the die size compared to the dimple you get, and why you want to space it out the way you do. Alright, so drilled some holes, let's deburr them. Now you can use a deburrer, or the thing about these step drills, go back in the other side. get rid of it. So make sure that when you are doing this stuff, it is nice, smooth edge into it, just so it keeps your dies nice and clean. And make sure your dies are nice and clean, because anything you do with your dies is going to transfer onto your work. So pick the way you want it to dimple. I want mine to dimple in that direction, going in. Clamp that over either way. You run it on this machine, so it comes with a couple of different things. If you're doing bigger holes, you have a bigger blank to start with. This one's only little holes, so put the little rod in. Tighten her up. Put our grub on. And then we just crank this handle. Gets firm, let it off. Pull out our die, and there's our dimple. Now this is what I was talking about before with these dimple dies. So, try and capture this. The reason you've got to be mindful when you're spacing them is you put that on, you don't want it too close to that. So when you're doing some of the bigger dies, the dimple is more profound. You wouldn't have it so your next hole is that close, even though the dimple's only going to take up that much size. If you have it too close, as soon as you start pressing that in, you're going to crush that dimple. So for the purpose of what I'm doing, this one's set up is alright. And then it's just set up. Switch our machine back on, see if I can get it so you can see the gap down the bottom there. I do have an automatic one of these, but it's just an annoyance to set up. This little hand crank one's good. Then you start to feel it firming up. That's your dimple done. You can hammer form these dimples in too, you don't have to go and buy all this gear, but for me it's just easier to own this than it is to sit there, especially when I'm doing rock sliders or something like that. They make a really good grip for steps, and if I'm putting them every 50 mil, I don't want to sit there and hammer form up that many dimples. So it's a nice smooth finish. What I'll do is I'll get in now. So the bracket that I'm made here, I've purposefully made oversized as well, because I'm going to be shaping it, making it a bit neater, do it like a figure eight I guess. I'll step that in to give it a bit of relief on that where it welds in. So if I do a little channel there, little valley, whatever you want to call it, somewhere for any crap that builds up to try and escape. And also that's going to have a bit of a shape cut into it to go with the shape of the tub. But there's one way of making a nice stiff bracket. You're not going to bend that. Hopefully that has given you a bit of an insight on something you can do. Another introduction to a tool. These sets here, I think they're a couple $100 or something, and then your dies. So as I said, these step up in all different intervals. The hole punch ones, which come in handy when you're doing guards for snorkels and stuff like that. I've got these all the way up to 100 and something mil, so much better finish than a hole saw. Might do a demo later on, use just these hole punches. You can see how they end up actually finishing your job. And the dimple dies, so I've got the dimple dies that match to these. They go up in a couple of mil intervals. These are also give you a nice finish when you're doing stuff, putting in gauges, stuff like that. If you want to do a sheet metal dash, having a gauge sit in that cup is a really nice look. And yeah, so if you haven't seen one before, there's a quick little dimple die setup. Really good way of adding strength to your panels. And I'll give a shout out to the transfer punches too. These things are super handy. These cost absolutely nothing and they'll save you so much heartache, especially when you start doing a bit more precise work. So if you're putting in mounts for a light bar or something like that, you can put your light bar down where you want it to be, transfer punch these straight through the center of your mounts, and you will be spot on center where your brackets actually want to go. So hopefully this little introduction has given some people some thought and some tools ideas that they now need to buy and have some fun with, because it does make life a lot easier. And yeah, do the usual, guys. Like, subscribe, comment. Interaction's always good. Let us know what you want to see. If you're stuck on a certain thing that you're working on and you just can't figure out how do you get around doing that part, I'm happy to try and answer any questions if I can. Don't be shy. We're not going to bite. Leave us a comment. Have a good one.